When my wife introduced me as someone she knows, I felt something inside me break. A quiet, invisible snap that no one else heard, but I did. It happened at a backyard barbecue on a Saturday afternoon, the kind where laughter rises with the smoke from the grill, and neighbors pretend to care about each other's lives. I was holding a plate of ribs when she said it, her voice light, almost nervous. My favorite channel for old evil and dangerous history, Old Wicked History, gives very interesting stories. You should also watch it and subscribe, please. This is, someone I know, she told the group. A couple of men from her office and a woman I vaguely recognized from her phone's contact list. Someone she knows. Not her husband. Not even her boyfriend. Just someone. The words hit harder than I expected. I stood there, ribs in one hand, a cold beer sweating in the other, forcing a polite smile while her coworkers gave me a confused look. Someone you know. One of them chuckled. Come on, Emma. Don't tell me you brought a stranger to the company cookout. She laughed, that fake, brittle laugh she used when she was caught off guard. No, I mean, yeah, this is Daniel. Her husband, I said quietly but firmly. The air shifted. People turned. The awkwardness lasted only seconds, but it felt like hours. And in those few seconds, I saw something in Emma's eyes I couldn't unsee: fear. On the drive home, she tried to explain. You know how office parties are, she said, staring out the passenger window. People gossip. It's just easier not to make things weird. Make what weird? Yes. You're married. Me. What's weird about that? She hesitated. You don't understand. There are dynamics at work. If people know I'm married, especially to someone outside the firm, it changes how they treat me. Her excuse was thin. Pathetic even. But I said nothing. I just nodded and kept driving, though my knuckles were white around the steering wheel. She went to bed early that night. I stayed up, staring at the ceiling, listening to the faint hum of her phone buzzing on the nightstand. The next morning, I woke up to find her phone face down on the counter while she showered. I shouldn't have looked, I know that. But when trust starts to rot, curiosity becomes a form of self-defense. I tapped the screen. No passcode. A message at the top caught my eye. You really panicked yesterday, he almost caught on. The sender's name, Nathan. I opened the thread. Nathan. Did he ask about me? Emma, no. But I had to downplay it. I told him you're just my coworker. Nathan. You mean the coworker you can't stop thinking about? Emma. Stop. You'll get me in trouble. Nathan. You like the risk. My hands trembled. I scrolled up. The messages stretched back for months. Jokes, emojis, inside references. And pictures. Pictures of her. Ones I hadn't taken. Ones I'd never seen before. That's the thing about betrayal. It doesn't explode. It leaks, slow and quiet, until you suddenly realize you're drowning in it. I didn't confront her right away. Played along. Over the next week I watched her closely. How she smiled at her phone, how she lingered in the bathroom after work calls, how she said, Nathan's really funny. Like she was testing how much I knew. And every time I said nothing. Until I decided silence wasn't enough. The next company barbecue was scheduled 2 weeks later. This time I volunteered to help set up. Emma was hesitant but didn't protest. When we arrived, I noticed him immediately. Nathan. Tall, confident, wearing that easy smirk of a man who'd never been told no in his life. He hugged Emma the way a man hugs someone he's touched before. Too comfortably, too familiarly. Emma, he said, his eyes flicking to me briefly. You brought your friend again. Yeah, I said before she could answer. Her husband. Daniel. He froze for half a second, barely noticeable, but I caught it. And that's when I knew everything I needed to know. The afternoon crawled by. Laughter, drinks, fake smiles. I played the part, chatting with coworkers, shaking hands, listening to the dull hum of conversations I didn't care about. But my eyes kept finding them, Emma and Nathan, standing just a little too close, laughing just a little too hard. Around 5 p.m. the music got louder, and people started pairing off into little groups. Emma disappeared inside the house. A few minutes later, Nathan followed. Waited. Then I followed too. The hallway was quiet. The low murmur of voices from outside muffled through the walls. I heard them before I saw them, whispering, laughing in hushed tones. I turned the corner and saw them standing by the laundry room door. Her hand was on his chest, his on her waist. It wasn't full-blown passion, not yet, but it was enough. Enough to end everything. When she saw me, she went pale. "Daniel." "Don't," I said, voice low, calm. "Don't even start." Nathan straightened his shirt, suddenly all professionalism. "Hey man, this isn't." "Save it," I interrupted. "You've had your fun. Now it's my turn." He frowned, confused. I pulled out my phone and held up the screen, the screenshots of their texts, printed earlier that morning and emailed to both their HR department and Emma's boss. "You might want to check your email," I said quietly. I sent everyone an early copy. Emma's face crumpled. "Daniel, please." I walked past her out the door and didn't look back. That night I stayed at a hotel. The silence of the room was deafening. Not peaceful, just hollow. I kept thinking about all the small things I'd ignored. The new perfume, the extra hours at work, the sudden password changes. I called. I didn't answer. She texted. "Please come home. We need to talk." "It wasn't what you think. I made a mistake." Mistake. That word gets thrown around like it's a band-aid for betrayal. A mistake is spilling coffee on your shirt. Not months of lies, not secret messages. Not pretending your husband doesn't exist in front of your lover. 2 days later, she showed up at the hotel. I let her in because I needed to see if there was anything left, any spark of the woman I once loved. She looked smaller somehow. Eyes red, hair unwashed. "Daniel, I'm sorry," she whispered. "I don't know what came over me. It just happened." "Did it happen when you told him you loved him?" I asked quietly. "Or when you sent him pictures you wouldn't even let me take?" She flinched. "It wasn't love. It was stupid. I just felt seen." "Seen?" I repeated. "I've been standing right next to you for years, Emma. You were the one who stopped looking." She started crying. "Please, I'll quit my job. I'll block him. I'll do anything." I watched her for a long moment. "You already did everything, Emma." And with that I picked up my suitcase. The divorce was quiet. She didn't fight it, maybe because she knew she couldn't win. Nathan got fired, apparently. Word spread fast after the HR email leak. Months passed. The grief faded, replaced by something else. Not anger, not even sadness. Just emptiness. People always ask what betrayal feels like. It's not the act itself. It's the moment you realize you were the only one who thought you were safe. Sometimes I still think about that barbecue. The smell of grilled meat, the sound of laughter, the sunlight catching her hair. A perfect scene hiding a rotten truth. I remember the way she introduced me, voice light, smiling. "Someone I know." And I think in a way she was right. Because by then that's all I was. Someone she used to know. 6 months later, I ran into one of her former co-workers at a cafe downtown. She recognized me immediately. "Daniel." "Hey, how are you holding up?" I smiled politely. "Better." "You." She hesitated, then leaned in. "You probably don't want to hear this, but Emma's been through a lot. Nathan's wife filed a lawsuit against both of them. She lost her job. She moved back in with her parents. For a moment I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. Then the woman added, "She told people she misses you. Said you were the only one who ever treated her right." I took a sip of coffee, staring out the window at the city lights. "Maybe," I said. "But she treated me like someone she barely knew." The woman gave a small, awkward smile. "You don't sound angry." "I was," I said softly. "Now I'm just done." That night as I walked home, I passed a park where a small gathering was happening. People laughing, grilling, the smell of smoke in the air. It reminded me of that day, that moment she erased me with a sentence. But this time I didn't feel pain. Felt free. Because sometimes, Losing someone who betrays you isn't a tragedy. It's the beginning of remembering who you were before they made you forget. And as I walked past the laughter and the smoke, I whispered to myself the same words that started it all. This time with peace in my chest instead of heartbreak. Someone I know. Except now that someone was me.